that. Like, I want to see him continue to do what he does best, and that's get inside the octagon and fight. I hope that he doesn't hinder himself. I hope that he is changed, but I'm not holding my breath for it because I've heard the same thing so many times before. I'm just not buying into it at this point.
It's a weird situation because if this were, let's say Jon Jones was like a lightweight, right? Where there's just countless contenders, right? Like Tony Ferguson has 12 fights in a win, 12 fights with 12 wins in a row, and people are, he might not still get a title fight. If that's bonkers, right? If he was a champion at 155, it'd be so easy to move on, right? Like if Khabib Nurmagomedov popped 3 times and hit and runs and DUIs and has title strips, the division would move on immediately, right? Conor, Khabib, Tony Ferguson, Dustin Poirier, like there's so many other guys. At 205, Daniel Cormier filled in, but now he's at heavyweight. Now that Jones beat Gustafsson, it's like Anthony Smith, and then what after that? Jan Blachowicz? Like it's the division is so in need of fresh blood that Jones could almost get away with only fighting once a year and still essentially take on whatever the #1 contender is at that moment.
Yeah, you're right. Unfortunately, we talk about what's next. I know that the hot topic, the hot fight that everybody probably wants to see is Jones versus Daniel Cormier, right? That third fight. I'm only interested in that fight if it happens at heavyweight.
Explain.
The reason why is because I think that Daniel Cormier at this point shouldn't have to come to Jon Jones. I think that Jon Jones should come to Daniel Cormier. I think Daniel's struggled immensely to make 205. He leaned on the towel to make it one time. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. I don't, he's older. He's been clean the entire time. Like, Jon Jones kind of owes it, I think, to Daniel Cormier, who I think is also one of the greatest of all times. And I just think that fight is more intriguing. I think Daniel Cormier is healthier, and I think he presents a better case to possibly beat Jon Jones at heavyweight. I think it evens it out just a little bit, and I don't think that DC should have to come down.
It's weird because if Jones wasn't such a screw-up, I think we'd be talking about like his 4th heavyweight title defense right now and how he's completely wiped clean 2 divisions.
Yeah.
The interesting thing is DC, unlike Jon Jones, has options. That Brock Lesnar fight, it's been really quiet on that front, the Brock Lesnar front. For whatever reason, that's not being talked about. I don't know if that's a USADA thing with Brock or a contractual thing with Brock, but that's obviously the big fight that DC wants. He's brought up a rematch with Stipe Miocic, which I think makes a lot of sense as well. And of course, retirement is the other real option for DC. He said once he turns 40, he's not fighting anymore. He turns 40 in March. It's kind of strike while the iron's hot, and it might be the last laugh and biggest fuck you from DC to not give Jon Jones that last fight and just retire. It would infuriate Jones. It would suck for us fans because I think we still want it. And the narrative for a lot of people would be, well, DC just retired as an excuse not to get his ass kicked by Jon Jones again. But I think it would hurt Jones more than it hurts DC. Like, although DC has nothing to lose, though, right? I mean, if he loses a 3rd time to Jones, it's like, all right, we already know Jones is the better fighter. But if he beats Jones and retires, I mean, that is the biggest double bird he can give his rival more than anything.
Oh, for sure. There's a huge opportunity there, and like you said, he doesn't have anything to lose in our eyes, but I think it's really hard on Daniel Cormier to lose that fight. I think it tears him up. I mean, you saw him crying inside the octagon. I mean, there is something. I think a little piece of him dies every time. Like, I feel like every fighter, when you love fighting and you love it, you put everything that you have into it, a little piece of you dies every time you lose. Yeah. It sounds like really out there, but it's true. You know, that's what we do, is we live for fighting, and when we lose, it's really hard on us. So I think that mental strain, I can only imagine, because I went through it somewhat with Ronda, so I could say that I've been there. I've been with a rival that I lost to twice, that I would have loved to avenge it. It didn't happen, but emotionally it's so hard. Not just the end point, but the whole journey to it, because it's just so much stress and pressure and so much back and forth. It's just so much you can't stand. It's like you have to be in, it's almost like being in the same room with somebody you just hate. Like, imagine if your office desk was just next to somebody that you couldn't stand, and it's just like you have to see that person every day. Yeah, it's like that. So, I mean, I think I could understand why DC would be like, look, I'm over it. Like, this guy can't get his shit together, and I've already lost him twice. I'm not, trying to do it again. I'm good at heavyweight.
All right, coming up next, what would Miesha do? We had some international relations go on at the UFC 232 prelims. I'm curious how Miesha would handle it. Stick around.